Hi everyone, welcome back to the Actually Good Coffee podcast, where we talk about... Do you have to say that every time?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Actually Good Coffee podcast, where we talk all things coffee or business owner or Maiden Coffee related, all while we sometimes pop a Zyn in our mouth.
An L-theanine ultra pouch.
And then Google L-theanine poisoning symptoms. Okay, well, in today's episode, we are going to be talking about separating work and family life as a small business owner. I think today's episode is one that a lot of small business owners and honestly couples in general will relate to. We're talking about how to actually separate work life from family life, especially when you run your own small business and you're in the bootstrapping phase where every minute of productivity counts.
You brought this topic up yesterday, actually, and I thought it was a really good idea because I feel like, I don't know if it's the season change or what. Lately, it's just like, I thought it was good timing because I've been thinking that we'll just start being a little bit more personable with this podcast because I feel like it could be beneficial for people who are in a similar position, and maybe some people can relate to parts of it and it can help.
Yeah, and it's easier to talk about if you're like living it.
Yeah, for sure. Like we're dealing with this on a daily basis, so
the first topic I'll start with is around the challenge of separating family life from work life. So the question I'm starting with is, what do you actually do to make sure you separate work life from home life?
Yeah, so before we had Isaiah, our baby, there was really no separation at all. It was working all the time. I told you from the beginning that I wanted to be with somebody who was going to be working on the same thing that I was, because I thought that was good practice for marriage. We would always work together, so we would just work all the time, nonstop. You know, we'd still kind of go out, but not really. I had the SBA loan, which we still have now, so that constant pressure was always on my back, and I had the credit card debt too for that first year because I just had no idea what I was doing. So it was just like exhaustive amounts of work, and when I would do it 100 hours a week, I'd be like, yes, that's awesome, like I'm doing 100 hours a week. That was how I would gauge how successful it was. And then slowly over time, you can't do that forever because you just burn out unless you start making a ridiculous amount of money, which it's difficult to do, especially in the coffee industry. So now I've just had to be more efficient with my time. So when I go to work, I work and I don't distract myself. It's like when I'm at work, I work, and I do whatever I can to focus in on what I'm doing on work, rather than, you know, working 12 hours and then maybe taking breaks in between, but then saying, you know, like, oh, I worked 12 hours because this is the time I left and this is the time I got home. I think it really happened when we had the baby, because before I was like, in the back of my mind, like, I didn't know how to work hard. I think I kind of did, but I didn't know how to work hard as a business owner. And I think that's important for people. Like, you have to figure out what hard work is, and the only way that you do that is like by working an insane amount. Yeah. So once you can understand that, then you can start to be efficient with your time. Then it's like, all right, now it's focusing on the highest leverage activities, or the things that are only I can do, that I can't really outsource to somebody else.
The second topic is about how becoming parents changed everything, which you kind of touched on. So the question is, so what's different now with how you work and spend your time compared to before we had Isaiah?
What's different now is, like, we have no free time now, especially with him being so young. So I still somehow find ways to distract myself and, you know, go on my phone, but like, we really can't. And we're really trying to like sharpen our tools as much as possible so that we can be as effective as possible when we're actually able to get together and work. And even when I'm just at work by myself and you're with the baby, it's like having a kid, you know, people look at having a kid as like your life is over, which obviously it's extremely hard to do, and it's not an easy feat, and you want to make sure that you're doing it with the right person. But I think it's also a great thing, and it just snaps people out of like this false reality that they live in, and they understand I think
that's right. Like, I think it forces you not to just like aimlessly do like busy work. Like, everything you do has a purpose, because you know that you don't have 12 hours to do it, or you can like take a nap and get back to it. Like, you gotta just do it in the 8 hours you're at work.
Yeah. I said this before, but it's like I find that I work best when like my back is up against the wall a little bit, and with the baby, it's like your back is always up against the wall. You have to afford the baby, all of your expenses that are related to it, and you have to be as effective as possible with your time. So having a kid just is a metaphorical splash of water in your face every single day. Something that I try to do every single morning is like, what can I do today that has the highest return on investment? And I kind of just sit with that for a moment, and it really helps me focus in on exactly the activities that I need to do that would have the highest rate of return.
Making work time worth it. What does that look like in practice? Like, when you're at work now, how do you make sure, like, what are the things that you do to make sure that your time is worth it? I feel like you're answering the questions, though, before I ask them, which is fine.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
Like, no, it's okay. So maybe, like, if there's something you haven't said yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, how do I make sure that the time is worth it? I don't think you do. I think sometimes you do things that are maybe taking a risk, like you launch, I don't know, like you try something new and it might not work out for your business as great as you thought it was, but like we have to be very analytical about how we spend our time. So when we run an ad, it's like, okay, well, which Instagram posts perform the best, or like what do people know us for, or what is it that exactly that people are going to relate to the most? Like, that's what we should focus in on, because if we're just posting videos that nobody cares about, that's a whole day worth of filming, that's all the editing time, that's a marketing cost. There's a lot of variables that are associated with it now. So how do you know it's worth it? You have to know it, and I think that just comes from doing it. There are things that you can't really do effectively without having done them 100 times already or 1,000 times already, and that's sort of where we're at with some of the things we do. It's like the podcast. It's like, that's why we're doing these more personable videos or episodes, because it seems like people resonate with these more and they enjoy them more, and we get more listens on them. So
I think delegating to Joanna and Jimmy, it's taken like a lot of, like, so you're able to focus on the things that like you have to do, like building the website and answering emails and contracting coffee and everything else that's going on. And you can know in the back of your head, like, you have Jimmy roasting and tasting the coffees, and you have Joanna like, you have good people you could rely on in place, and you don't have to like have your hands in everything, even though it obviously just kind of happens no matter what. But I think that's helpful. Yeah,
I heard something the other day that Dave Ramsey was talking about, where it's like there's 4 categories of things that you need to do. The first thing is important and urgent. The second thing is important but not urgent. The third thing is urgent but not important. And then the last one is not important, not urgent. And you have to be able to give people the baton and certain tasks that are like important and urgent, so that you can focus on the things that are important but not urgent as a business owner, because they are going to become urgent at a certain point, like once things start to progress and certain other trends start to pick up. So you have to be working on, like the book The E-Myth talks about it, you have to work on your business, not in it. That's sort of the zone that you want to stay in. Like, find the things that are important but don't immediately require attention, because they will eventually. It's like when you don't change your oil, eventually your car's going to explode. So
it can explode?
I think so.
So it's not about working more hours in the day, it's about just working smarter. Smarter, not harder.
Yeah. For a lot of people, especially starting off, you just have to work not smart and do as much as possible. And that's why I was working 100 hours for the first couple of years.
On the topic of learning to be present, I know it's obviously hard for you to just turn it off, especially when you have such a small business. How do you turn it off? How do you do that now? I guess, for example, like even if we're on trips or vacations or trying to go out to dinner.
Oh, you mean like trips specifically, or just not being at work?
Turning it off when you're actually like away, like
going on a trip.
Yeah, on a trip, or even if we're like out to dinner, visiting family, like or physically like going somewhere to get away. Yeah,
well, I guess a good framework for it just being not on a trip and just like home is that I need this time in order to be as effective as possible in the time that I'm at work. And that's sort of how I frame it, and that's the truth, because I need the time away to get back and stay dialed in the entire time. As far as vacations go, or like trips away, those are still really hard for me, and I find it really, really difficult to relax. But I know that when the baby gets older, even at the age that he's at now, it's like we have to appreciate the time that we have with him when we can. And it's been really hard lately, especially. I try to appreciate the time as much as possible, but it's definitely something I really struggle with. So I guess I keep a similar framework when it's like going on trips, where it's like, we're never going to be this age again. If it's with your parents, they're only going to get older. We're only going to get older. The baby's only going to get older.
I think they also have to be planned for, which like isn't fun and spontaneous, but like if you know we're going somewhere in 2 weeks, then for the next 2 weeks, you're like getting everything in order. Like you're roasting enough. You're like letting Jimmy know this is what I'm leaving, so this is what we have to get done. Like you're making sure while you're gone, like everything is in order. So when you come back, it's not like a huge pile of burning shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
and for the first
that crazy.
For the first 2 years, again, that's how it was, because I was the only one that was doing everything, and I couldn't go on vacation or really take any time away. But now it's becoming a little bit easier, but still, even when we're on vacation, we're actively looking for potential business anywhere.
It's no more than like 20 or 48 hour. Like, we haven't really even gone on vacation.
Yeah, we haven't even really gone on vacation.
We went to, like, Cape May for, like, 24 hours.
We can't even afford, like, that's the thing. It's like, we just...
Wait a second. Yeah. We can't even afford vacation. Why are we talking about it?
Yeah, it's like, I think we're not even really there yet. But we will be eventually. And you have to carve out that time for yourself. I might be giving a completely different answer in a couple of years. I don't know. But as of where it stands right now, it's like... just trying to appreciate the time that you have the most, especially, and the baby makes it easier to do that. So,
lastly is about faith and prayer. I don't know if you've talked about it really on the podcast, but I know in like life, it's something that has come up a lot, especially since having the baby. So can you share a little about that, about faith and how it's helped you find balance with work?
Spending time with you and Isaiah has become a lot more important in my life. Spending time with you was always important, actually, but it was very easy. But spending time with the baby is almost always a challenge. Part of my faith calls us to have children, and I believe the reason for that is because it is so challenging, and it forces you to slow down and take the priority off yourself and put it towards this helpless individual with virtually unlimited potential. It's a very selfless act to have a kid, and it instinctually removes you from everything else you're doing, even sleeping. So holidays are very important. I don't work on holidays for the most part. One day out of the week spent not working with family is important. So just like going to a coffee shop and not talking about work. There's been nothing else in the world that has helped me find a balance with work more than Isaiah, and that is what my faith calls me to do.
Final reflection. If you can go back and talk to the version of yourself who was working those 100-hour work weeks, what would you tell him?
Good job is probably what I'd say, because I think everybody needs to work really, really hard for a period of their life to understand what it actually means to work really hard, so that as they get older, they know what their limits are. And I think you should do it when you're young, especially in your early 20s, because you have the most amount of energy to do it, and it's like nothing affects you. So do it now when you're young, so that when you're 40, you don't have to as hard. Or you at least understand your limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if any business owner is gonna, in like the same phase as we're in, like small business, just kind of starting, if you're gonna take anything from this, it's that you could still be ambitious without letting work take over everything else in your life. I think we live in such a distracting, saturated world with our phones and everything, and we have constant stimulation and noise that a lot of people don't know how to just be present or just be silent. And I feel like when you have a baby, that definitely forces you to do those things, and it puts things into perspective, kind of like we said before, like you're always against the wall. But even for the people who don't have children and are just starting a business, I think it's okay to grind, but just not to the point where you can't rest and are burnt out, because when you're burnt out, you don't have that creative mind and that drive. I think being able to rest actually expands your creative mind and strengthens your bandwidth and ability to get through a work week. So
I actually think people should burn out.
you think so?
Yeah,
What?
at certain points of their lives.
So they could feel what it's like to not do it again?
Yeah, because it's like burnout is just not receiving the reward that you believe is equal to the amount of effort that you put forth. And I think everybody should experience that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't always be in that position, but I've had so many jobs and like so many goals and aspirations where that I've gotten there and I'm like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And then now we're here. And I probably wouldn't be here if I didn't do that. So
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might need that reminder to slow down, find balance. Maybe just, as Jack says, get burnt out and then reevaluate.
we'll see you next time on the Actually Good Coffee Podcast.